You're listening to the Tigers Den podcast. New episodes dropping every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, available to stream across all platforms. Also, be sure to check out Play Callers. New episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, available to stream across all platforms. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 16 of the Tigers Den podcast. We're back after a little bit of a break, but we have a dandy of a show up for y'all. We're going to be talking about, obviously, what everybody's talking about this time of year, the Super Bowl that's coming up next Sunday. We're also going to be discussing some more upsets in college basketball. I mean, they just keep coming, especially after a weekend that was filled with top 10 matchups, including on Saturday and Sunday. All that and more today on the Tigers Den podcast. But we're going to go ahead and get started, as we always do, with the weekend rundown with your boy, Reese Kinder. Reese, go ahead and take it away.
This is the weekend rundown.
How's it going? Hope y'all had a good weekend. Not as good as mine, you know.
He's trying to, get back from the Auburn women's basketball loss, but just
yeah, I don't even care anymore. So Friday, yeah, there was actually an upset. Butler beat Creighton. I think Butler actually might. I don't know if they'll make tournament yet. I mean, we got to see, because that Big East conference is like one of the. What happened?
I feel like with Butler, because I was talking to you actually before that game started. I was saying that like Creighton is my sneaky team to be one of those that could possibly make the Final Four, but then they lost that game by 1 point. So
honestly, this year I don't know. The Final Four is going to be it's going to be weird. I have a feeling there's going to be some weird.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if this might be the year for a 15 seed to make it all the way to the Final Four.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, and then Saturday, I know there was a ton of upsets. Saturday, we had Saturday we actually had Tennessee. I mean, I guess you could consider this an upset. Tennessee beating Kentucky, because it was at Kentucky, and Kentucky, at home usually performs pretty well.
Yeah, 103 points for Tennessee. I mean, does Kentucky even coach defense at this point? Like, I don't know, because we actually kind of watched that game, me and you, Reese, at B-Dubs afterwards, and we saw it, and we were like, Tennessee was in control the entire time. I mean, Kentucky couldn't stop them. Tennessee scored 57 in the second half alone. So, I mean, I don't know.
96 up to Georgia and 94 to Florida. So
Exactly. Yeah, Georgia was down by 30, and then they ended up coming back and almost winning the game.
And just a quick, not even a hot take, it's not really my take, but I was watching the Feinbaum show after the game and the next day, and there was a fan, actually a couple of Kentucky fans that called in and were calling for Coach Calipari to be fired at the end of the season. So, I mean, what do y'all think of that? Do you think that's possible?
He's been there too long. They're not going to do that.
I mean,
yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
If they did that, they'd be the stupidest basketball team ever.
Yeah, well, if there was ever a time to do it, I mean, it seems like it'd be this year. You see all these coaches that have been coaching there forever leaving or getting fired. I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick's the ones who got, left from the team, and then Nick Saban retiring. So, I mean, maybe this is the year that, he finally throws in the towel. But I don't know. That's just something I saw. So.
Yeah, and then I want to get y'all's opinion on the Iowa State and Baylor game. I saw the end of that, the buzzer beater that looked like, to me, it counted. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about that.
You're right. Let me pull up the replay real quick, because I know what you're talking about.
Supposedly, they said the dude didn't get the shot off.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, it's on an ad. Dang it. But yeah, top of the key. I thought he got it off. They showed a slow-mo, and it's like his fingers kind of blurry. So, whenever he's pushing the ball off, and so it's, hard to tell. They called it no good on the floor. That's what was.
And Baylor ended up upsetting them at Baylor. So, I mean, that's kind of stupid.
So let's see. I'm watching the replay right now, where they zoom in on.
Yeah.
They catch it inside, pass back, and puts it up. It looks a little late actually. Now that
Oh,
I'm
it does.
in, yeah, because it looks like whenever he cocked his arm back, it looked like it was still in his hand, and as it was touching, as the clock hit 0. So
But bro, the Big 12 has 8 ranked teams, bro.
yeah. Oh, Big
And
12
and
is
Kansas, Houston, Baylor, Iowa, and Texas Tech are all tied for first.
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know how Texas isn't ranked because Texas has had some good wins.
Yeah, I mean Texas Tech. I mean they were the top of the Big 12 entering this week, and they've lost 2 straight.
Lost to
Got upset by
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and I mean yeah, Big 12, Big 12. I mean any of those teams could make it to the Final Four, but at the same time none of them could. I mean you just never know. I think right now there's one team that stands out to be the top team, and but we'll talk about that in later segment.
Yeah, and like another upset, like another conference that's really close is the Mountain West Conference. I think we talked about that like 2 weeks ago. How
So
the
did
Mountain
y'all?
West is
I'm sorry,
close.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
You did.
did y'all watch game day for Duke and North Carolina? And one of the things that they brought up was like agree or disagree. The Mountain West will have five. It will have more or the same amount of teams in the NCAA tournament as the ACC / Pac-12, and all of the panelists said yes, that they'll have the same or more. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think
honestly don't
so.
disagree. So.
I think so because you got Boise State, Utah State, San Diego State. Um,
I really think there's only 4 locks for the ACC: North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, and NC State. To be
That
honest,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, like which is fitting for this year of college basketball for the Mountain West to have the same amount, if not more, teams go in than the ACC, which is arguably the most historic conference in basketball.
Well, see,
So
like as of right now, bracketology from Friday shows that I'll just run it down with the conferences real quick. Like the conferences it shows. It says the Big 12 would have 9 out of the 12 teams, or I think it's 13 teams, make it to the um. They would make it to the tournament. The SEC would have 8. The Big East would have 6. The Big 10 would have 6. The Mountain West would have 5. The Pac-12 3. ACC 3. American 3. And Atlantic 10 2.
jeez. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
so the Pac-12 and the ACC have the same amount of teams as the American Conference. That doesn't have
yeah,
Houston this year. That's wild. So.
yeah. No, the American Conference is like I think it's FAU and like
FAU, yeah, FAU, Memphis, and then I don't know who the third
um
one would be, but
the
uh,
other one I'm looking real quick. It's like I think it might be USF.
yeah,
It
possibly,
might
wait, from
be.
the American Conference,
yeah,
It's
or it might be Charlotte.
yeah, Charlotte, FAU, and USF.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
Memphis is falling off the face of the earth. Oh my goodness.
Charlotte
So
is 8-1 in their conference. That's why.
yeah,
Oh, what? Dang, I didn't know that.
yeah, they're 8-1. They're 14-7 overall though. They have the fourth best record overall. Actually, no, fifth best record overall, but they're first in the conference. I don't know. All I'll say is, this March Madness is going to be
No,
wild.
probably Memphis instead of Charlotte.
Yeah, but Memphis, I mean, they got to get their act together. They just keep losing. But anyway, Reese, continue.
Yeah, and then also like the Big 12 too had they had Texas beat TCU. I mean that really was an upset. TCU I don't even think should be in the AP poll anymore at this point. Like the AP poll this year might be just pointless because it's like everybody keeps losing.
Yeah, I mean, another one, I'm sure you were about to go to it, but UCF beating Oklahoma as well.
Yeah, that one we watched before the broadcast on
On
Saturday.
Friday or Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday we watched it before the broadcast, and that one UCF was leading at halftime, and then we checked later on and saw that UCF ended up beating Oklahoma. And like you said, Max, you said UCF could be a sleeper team for the tournament if they get things worked out.
I mean, for sure, because I mean, you look at their losses versus their wins. I mean, they've now beaten Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and they've lost to teams like. I mean, they have some bad losses though. They've lost to Stetson, which who are they? They lost to Kansas State, who's not doing nearly as good as they usually do. But I don't know. I mean, it's madness. It's madness this year. That's all I'll say. So
Yeah, and then now I'm gonna get moving into MLB. MLB is coming back soon. Comes back this month. End of this month is the first game of spring training. Spring training this year will start in Seoul, South Korea, with the Dodgers and the Padres. Should be a fun one. And then some free agency news over the last week. Orioles get ace Corbin Burns in a trade with the Brewers.
Wait, Reese, where did you see that it started in South Korea?
Um, Look at
Starts
ESPN.
in it starts in Peoria, Arizona.
There ain't no way. There's no way. They've literally been talking about it.
it says Peoria, Arizona.
It does
So
say Peoria. I don't know which
I
game
know
it
that
is.
because when I toured Arizona State, they talked about people commentating spring training games. So
Yeah, no, it must be the
they do
game
it
I'm
in like
thinking about.
5 different stadiums all around Phoenix.
oh, it's all in Arizona. Dang,
Yeah,
this
the
is
game. Well, there's some in Northport, Florida too.
yeah. I was about to say I'm just clicking through here.
The
So
game I'm thinking about, I think, might be it might be around like a few days after opening day because I know they do play the Padres and Dodgers
Do
play.
they ever televise spring training games or not really?
Yeah,
On the
I mean, they
Braves, is it
might
Bally
on like
Sports?
Bally Sports. So
this one right here, the first one's on ESPN.
You said
yeah,
Bally
so it's.
Sports, Max?
I mean, for some of the ones that aren't
You mean
televised, do you not know
Bally
what?
Sports?
Max, it's Valley Sports.
Okay, well, whatever.
Wait, is
But
Bally
anyway,
Sports even a thing anymore?
Yes.
Didn't it
yeah,
get bought out?
No.
no, I know it is because
They saved it.
Hey,
A
is
lot of the
Brandon Gaudin
Pelicans
still our
do.
announcer, Reese?
So
Yep.
Let's go. I like him. Shout out
Yeah,
Brandon
Brandon.
Gaudin for listening to the pod.
Yeah,
what?
Brandon Gaudin is really good. He won
He's
an
so much
award.
better than Chip Carey, bro. I will stand by that.
Chip Carey sucks, yeah.
Anyways, just quickly, Reese, can you explain? I mean, because we were kind of talking about it before the podcast. I'm mainly a MLB casual. I don't really follow it as closely as y'all two do. So basically, isn't spring training something like it's basically preseason?
Yeah, it's just preseason to get the guys going back to the flow of baseball, basically. Just like
A lot
also
of
it's not.
games the starters don't play either.
Yeah, it's just like it's mainly the people that are in Double A or Triple A that they don't know if they're gonna make the team, and that's how they like basically figure out if they're gonna be on the roster to start the season because they
Yeah,
put a 40-man roster in and like it's a few days before the season starts.
gotcha. All right, thanks for clarifying.
But no, also Jock Peterson got added to a 1-year deal with the Diamondbacks earlier
Let's
last week.
go.
What? What? Oh.
He said, "Let's go."
Oh. I thought they said oh, it like kind of cut out. And
No,
then
let's go.
David Robertson, relief pitcher, used to pitch for the Mets. He is now pitching. He's going to pitch for the Rangers, the World Series champions.
Chris
So
Sale to the Braves too. Let's go.
yeah, and then as we all know, Shohei Ohtani to the
Well,
freaking.
yeah. I
And
mean,
then also Reese Hoskins went to the Brewers too. I'm kind of glad he's off the Phillies. So
Josh Hader went since the last episode. We haven't talked about him going to the Astros too.
yeah, there's still notable guys on the list that have to be signed soon, like Cody Bellinger, and also I know the Braves were looking at some closer like Ken Giles from the Astros. So there's still notable guys off coming off the list, but that's gonna do it for weekend rundown. Not really much to talk about except the upsets in college basketball, since football's about to come to an end soon.
yeah, well, I mean, not a lot to talk about this weekend. Definitely going to be a lot more to talk about next weekend after, the big game, the Super Bowl. But we're now going to move it to Taylor's team huddle, which is not the 49ers. It's actually a team that nobody expected to be good this season. Taylor, take it away.
Oh God.
Huddle up, because it's time for Taylor's Team Huddle.
Yes, sir. talk about, all three of us, we'll get into it later, but we all want the 49ers to win. The whole country wants the 49ers to win, but I feel like they're not a team huddle since they are favored in that game. But I'm going to go into college basketball that we were just talking about with all the upsets and stuff.
Thank
The
goodness.
Gamecocks from South Carolina men's basketball, coached by Lamont Paris. So, if you were to look at the SEC standings for men's basketball, with being a college basketball casual, who would be your guess for the top teams? Of course, Kentucky has got to be somewhere up there. How about Tennessee or Texas A&M after their great seasons last year? Well, you would be completely wrong because at the top of the pack, we have Alabama, who's been on fire recently after starting the first 11 games 6-5. They've only lost one out of their last 11 and are on a hot streak of 4 games straight. But they don't impress me enough. Look at all their games against top teams such as Purdue, Creighton, and Arizona, who they all lost to 3 in a row. Then they played at Tennessee, who hasn't been themselves this past season, and lost by 20. But you know who did beat Tennessee and Kentucky in the span of a week and a half? The South Carolina Gamecocks. Yes, they lost to Bama by a bunch, but this team is so different right now. They sit second place in the SEC standings, led by Meechie Johnson and BJ Mack as their top 2 leading scorers. South Carolina is one of those teams that isn't going to have a 30-point player from a game or one key star that shines brighter than the rest, but this team plays together and they do it beautifully. They have 7 players who play well above 18 minutes a game, and they dish the rock all over the court with a leading scorer now, and a different leading scorer now in 7 straight games. And with the schedule remaining for them, with Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Auburn yet to play, this team's limit is the stars, and there is no letting down. It's crazy how this team will not impress on a stat sheet or really in a final score breakdown, but the philosophy drawn up by Coach Paris and how bought into the program this team is, we could see a repeat of 2017 when the Gamecocks made the Final Four. That team, going into the tournament, was a 7th seed, and they made it all the way to the grand stage of the Final Four without a true star player ever succeeding outside of college after that year. Let's go Gamecocks and come back to this segment when they make some noise in March. What are y'all's thoughts?
So, put some respect on South Carolina's name. I was trying to pull up the DJ Khaled God did meme, but I wasn't able to fast enough. But South Carolina is a team that, as an Auburn fan Auburn still has to play them. They haven't played them yet this year. I am extremely worried about. And this is a South Carolina team. I don't even think it would be too much of a hot take to say that not only will they win the SEC regular season, but they'll finish the season undefeated, or they'll win the rest of their games. Because you look at their toughest games, they get Auburn on the road. I think that actually will be their toughest game because they get Tennessee at home, which they already beat Tennessee on the road. They have to go to Ole Miss, which Ole Miss has been slacking recently. To Texas A&M might be a tough one at Mississippi State, but all of those are winnable. This Gamecocks team, we've been talking about it through the week. I don't know how they're not in the AP poll yet. After they beat Kentucky, they should have been. But now that they've beaten Tennessee on the road, they have to. They have to. There's no way. So watch out for South Carolina because, they are genuinely a team. They almost remind me of Texas A&M last year because A&M was a team that, yes, people were high on kind of going into the year, but nobody expected them to, go into the tournament the way they did, on their run towards the end of the season. But I think South Carolina's better, honestly. This is a team that they're very well-rounded, like Taylor said. They don't have one guy that's just going to score all their points. They have 3 different people who average double figures. Meechie Johnson, is going to be a star, I think, at the next level as well. I've been able to have the pleasure of watching him some. He's a junior. BJ Mack, he actually played at Wofford last year, and I remember watching him in the SoCon tournament, and he was really good, and he transferred and went to South Carolina. Watch out for the Gamecocks. I think any team that goes up against them in the future, is going to have a tough time. I mean, this is a team that they can score from anywhere, really. I mean, really and truly, they can score from anywhere. Talon Cooper, I would like to shout out him real quick. As a shooting guard, is averaging his field goal percentage is 51.9%. As a matter of fact, their top 5 scorers all have a field goal percentage of 41 or more. So, I mean, they're a very sound team. There's not really one thing that they're really bad at. They're very decent at basically everything and really good at some things. But yeah, this Gamecocks team is really good, and I like this pick by you, Taylor. Reese, what do you think about them?
Honestly, I think the same thing, like you were saying. But I mean, honestly, like you said, how Texas A&M was last year. Everybody was high on them at the start of the year. I don't think anybody expected South Carolina to be like this good. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't think
no,
anybody
no
expected it
way.
to happen. I don't even. They were picked, I think, like 12th in the SEC this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, like honestly, South Carolina, like you said, I think it'll be fun to watch them in the tournament. This kind of reminds me of the South Carolina team that upset Duke, like in 2016 when Duke was
Mm,
really good.
yeah, with like what was his name? Sindarius, was it Treadwell or something like that? I
I think
know.
Yeah,
that was the Final Four team as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I mean, then you also look. I will say the one thing that you have to be worried about with the Gamecocks is their team that's really their success is based off of forcing turnovers and hitting a lot of shots. Like they're not gonna win a defensive battle most of the time. They're usually a very high volume, high scoring team. And when they're not able to hit shots, I mean, most teams, pretty much every team's not going to win when they're not able to hit shots. But what really pops off the page for me is their game at Alabama. They got blown out 74-47. Other than that, they haven't got blown out by any other team. Lost to Clemson at Clemson by 5, then lost at home to Georgia by 5, which is kind of surprising. But I mean, this Gamecocks team, if they can keep, just being consistent, not going on any lulls throughout the rest of the season. I mean, they're a team to watch for sure.
All right, well, let's break the huddle and let's move on to the next segment, which is Max's main matchup. I think we all know what this one's going to be.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for Max's main matchup.
Yeah, Taylor, you went the more unexpected route, but I'm going to have to go with what everybody's thinking. It's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest sporting event of the year. I'm going to be watching. We're probably all going to be watching it together, having a good old time, hoping and praying that the 49ers can prevent us from having the Swifties get a Super Bowl win, and being able to brag about it for the next year. But let's just go ahead and break this down. So, coming into this game, the Niners have actually been a favorite this entire time since the championship round. The NFC and AFC championship round was over. But the 49ers, they started out as a -4 favorite. They're not all the way down to a -1.5. So I think they can tell that you shouldn't bet against Mahomes. I mean, I think that's a general rule nowadays. I mean, because he's just so good in clutch moments. I mean, I hate to say it, but also according to ESPN Analytics, the 49ers are a 59.4% chance to win in this game. Now, some things to look out for is Omenahu, who is I think he's like a linebacker or something. I saw this like a couple days ago. I remember watching him in the Ravens game, and he was doing really good against them. Charles Omenahu, their right defensive end, he is out with a torn ACL. And that is big because he has been one of their leaders up front along with Chris Jones. 7 sacks on the year, 2 forced fumbles. So that's big. Mike Dana will be his replacement in this game, which Mike Dana, I mean, he's had a good bit of reps this year, 6.5 sacks. So, I mean, not too much of a loss. Also, Jerick McKinnon is not playing, but, I mean, he's basically a third-string running back at this point. So that's not going to be something they need to worry about. Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney is a guy I would like to talk about real quick. Their starting right guard who's played really well this year. I mean, the offensive line for the Chiefs, I think, has been playing, good whenever I've watched him. But he is estimated to be a non-participant in the 49ers game, which
Yeah,
will
they've
be
been playing. They've been playing good enough to hold the defensive line, holding every freaking call.
I was about. I felt it was coming, but yeah, so the what's it called? Derek Nottie is also still going to be out. Their defensive tackle. So I mean, there's some injury problems for the Chiefs coming to this game. Whereas for the Niners, there's absolutely nobody injured. They're at full strength. CMC, Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, all of them will be playing. George Kittle, and then on that defensive side, you got Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, you got Fred Warner, you got Charvarius Ward. I mean, there's just so many people on this 49ers team. I actually saw something the other day when me and Reese were actually at the women's basketball game. I saw Cam Newton said that Brock Purdy is the 10th best player on the 49ers team. And at first I thought he was just hating. But then I looked at the 49ers lineup and I looked at some of the comments and I was like, he might actually be ranking him a bit too high on this 49ers team. Because you look at who they have, I mean, this is, first off, one of the most stacked offenses we've possibly ever seen in the last decade. I mean, you look at Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, three of the top players at their entire position. And then you got George Kittle, top tight end. Kyle Juszczyk, who's obviously the top fullback, is probably better than a lot of starting running backs, if we're being honest. You got Trent Williams, who, I mean, he can block basically a freight train at this point. Then you also, on the defensive side, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Charvarius Ward, and then you also got Chase Young in that addition with that trade. So, I mean, we're gonna see though. I mean, because this 49ers team, they have looked suspect at times. I mean, you look back at that Packers game, I think they revealed a lot about the 49ers if you're able to, jump on them early and be able to stay with them until the fourth quarter. But we'll just have to see. I mean, recently the Chiefs are obviously playing better, but the 49ers, I feel like, have had an overall better season. Who will win it? I don't know. I'm not going to say my prediction yet. Obviously, y'all can assume who I and Reese and Taylor are going to pick to win this game, but we'll see. Honestly, if you're a bettor out there, I would not bet on this game because, A, don't bet against the Chiefs, but B, you don't bet for the Chiefs in this game unless you're, a weirdo and you just, don't like life or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not betting on this game by any means necessary, but go Niners, bang, bang, 49er gang. What do y'all have to say about the Super Bowl?
Honestly, NFL scripted. I mean, it's just
Oh
goes,
God, I have
goes
an
down to that.
announcement.
What?
Goes-
Taylor Swift just announced a new album coming out in April.
There's no way.
I swear.
oh my god!
Well, I mean, hey,
It's
that means she
the
might be breaking up
NFL.
with Travis Kelce soon.
The
So
NFL scripted. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's a good quarterback. Blah blah blah. I don't care. I mean, he gets by with about everything in the league. So I mean, at this point, this is why nobody likes watching the NFL. That's why I'm not. This is why I'm not watching the Super Bowl. It's not going to be Usher coming out for the Super Bowl halftime show. It's going to be Taylor Swift.
uh,
And
you
I
know
mean,
what? You know it's one of the craziest things because Reese, you're the one who pointed this out to me. If you go on FanDuel right now, there is a minus 250 bet in favor of Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift after the game. Like you can bet on that right now. Plus 250 for them not to, so it's favored that they will. But I've been talking to people, throughout this week, just asking the people, the general, crowd at our school, who they think is going to win the Super Bowl because it's like a worldwide event or whatever. And all of the people I asked, they're like, yeah, I want the Niners to win, but NFL scripted, exactly what you said, Reese. I mean, they think that Taylor Swift, refs, everything is on the Chiefs' side, but we'll just see.
yeah, well, no, also there's the one ref that refs the game. I actually saw something on Instagram the other day that when he refs the Chiefs games, the home team, which is the 49ers in the Super Bowl, the home team has a 40.9% chance of winning. And when he is not reffing and there's another ref, it is actually the home team has a 51.2% chance to win.
Yeah, so
I will say also,
Reffing the game. for the
the way that they made the TV schedule, all of the past three Chiefs games have all been on CBS, and we hear
Yeah.
Tony Romo drooling over Patrick Mahomes, and we're gonna have the same ref that has refed two Chiefs games in a row. That's kind of suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this Super Bowl feels so weird because I feel like it's been less advertised on everything. Like you don't see
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of hype for it. I mean, Usher is out of his prime doing the halftime show. It's
Yeah.
kind of just like a mid Super Bowl, and I have a hot take that this might be one of the lowest watched Super Bowls of all time because people are just fed up with the NFL.
I've seen that a lot too, because as soon as the 49ers beat the Lions, everybody on Instagram was commenting like this is the worst scenario that everybody wanted, because it felt like everybody wanted the Ravens Lions.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
Obviously.
on
I mean,
Instagram.
if it was Lions Chiefs, people would watch it. It's just since it's the two most hated teams in the league.
Exactly.
I don't.
So
They made a sports map that showed that like it showed that everybody in America besides people in California, Oregon, and Nevada would have the 49ers win, or like people in Kansas City and Missouri would have, or people in Kansas and Missouri would have the Chiefs win. Everybody else said that they would rather have both of the teams tie. They don't want anybody to win. And then speaking of asking people like Super Bowl who they think is gonna win, I asked head football Coach Etheridge in PE because I have him for PE, and I asked him, and he says he wants the 49ers to win because he said he's kind of tired of the Taylor Swift stuff. He said that it's getting on his nerves. So, like, honestly, he said that it's just, he said that football's not even fun to watch anymore with her being in the stand.
you know, just when I thought I couldn't like Coach E anymore, I just love him now. I mean, already the best high school coach in Alabama, but now definitely in the nation. Shout out
Maybe,
Coach E.
maybe on Taylor Swift's flight back, maybe the Israeli
Okay, no more.
airstrike thing would just accidentally hit her plane, and then she'll have to.
Our fellows.
On plane 1989. That's some
Yeah,
bull.
that I also saw. That is insane. But anyways, this was once again the most obvious main matchup pick. To pick. But we're gonna save who we actually think is going to win for prize picks. But now we're gonna get into a top 10 segment that, I mean, we're gonna be doing the same one we usually do. But
Until
I mean,
MLB
there's
comes
gonna be
back.
some. Yeah, there's gonna be some different teams. So Reese, go ahead and intro the segment.
Who's first, who's last, and who's in between? This is Top 10.
Well, this week's top 10, like you said, Max, we're gonna be doing this one for a while until like until baseball comes back. So, we're gonna be doing college basketball, and I'm gonna get it started. A lot of things have been shaken up this week. Actually, every week it shakes up because I feel like our top tens are just like moving every week. It's just like nobody's ever stayed the same except
Yeah.
UConn, North Carolina, and Purdue, obviously. But like, you know,
And can I say one quick thing?
yeah.
We also, if any of y'all, fans out there, if y'all be on Instagram, we actually just started our own official Tigers Den Instagram. It's at the Tigers Den _ official, or not underscore, just the Tigers Den official, all lowercase, no caps, no spaces, no explanation points. But and this is going to be one of the main things that we will post on there is our top tens throughout each week. And so, yeah, be sure to go follow us on there. And if you want to see a cool graphic showing each of our top tens next to each other and how we do, be sure to go follow us on there. But just had to say that real quick. Now, Reese, back to you.
But it needed a quick Super Bowl commercial.
Exactly.
But no, I'm gonna get started with my top 10, and at number 10, I got Marquette. And, Marquette's kind of coming back. They struggled at the start of conference play, but they're kind of making their way back slowly. So yeah, I got Marquette at 10, and
10? Low. But anyways, keep going. Me,
um,
me, me.
at number 9, this will probably surprise y'all. Y'all probably think I'm biased, but Duke at number 9. even though they lost to North Carolina. But like you said, Max, that is a tough environment to play in. So I got Duke at number 9, and then number 8 is Wisconsin. And the reason Wisconsin's at number 8 is because you play a Nebraska team who, I mean, they're mid. They're mid. They did lose today to Illinois. They probably have one of the best home win percentages in college basketball besides Auburn and Duke, obviously. But you know, Wisconsin did also lose to Purdue today, but I do have hope that this team will, make it far in the tournament. So that's why they're in my number 8. My number 7 is Iowa State. Even though they lost to Baylor,
Oh,
I don't think they did.
jeez.
I don't think they
Ours
did.
are going to be much different. I'll just go and say that.
What's yours
So,
going to be? Fairleigh Dickinson.
no, Grand Canyon at number 1.
Oh,
Keep
that's
going.
nice. I love that team.
Oh, me, Grand Canyon.
All right, yeah, Iowa State because I honestly, if there's anybody to win the Big 12, they could surprise everybody and win the Big 12 because they've had some quality wins this season in the Big 12. So I got them. I have them possibly winning the Big 12. And then my number 6 is
What is this bro
Houston.
talking about?
What was that?
There's just some reverberation. Keep going. Houston at number 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though they lost to Kansas, I mean they kind of made it close at the end. Like they've even though that loss to Kansas, I mean it was at Kansas too. And if they were playing at Houston, I guarantee Kansas would have lost. Like Kansas has the worst road, like they had the worst conference road percentage I think ever. Like that's like their worst in school history I think so far. And then I have to put Kansas above them because Kansas beat them. So Kansas is at 5. Really don't even.
Wait, who's at 6?
Houston,
Houston?
yeah, Houston.
Okay. And then Kansas at 5.
Yes. And
All right.
then Tennessee, I think, was like 6th. I think Tennessee was 6th 2 weeks ago when we did it. So I moved them up to 4th after the win against Kentucky. Big win for Tennessee. And they keep possibly getting my pick right for possibly winning the SEC. I said they
Mm.
were the dark horse for the SEC. So
Not
and
really a
then
dark horse, Reese.
Yeah, I was about to say, but
um number 3, Purdue. I mean, they don't really struggle at home. I do think that Northwestern game was a little
suspect.
suspicious. That was a little odd. 48 free throws to 8 free throws is a little insane. Pipe down, bruh. But yeah, Purdue, they've had an incredible season. They probably will end up being the number 1 overall seed when it's all said and done. And yeah, Purdue at 3. And number 2, I don't even like saying this team's name, but North Carolina at number 2. They just beat Duke. Yeah, I was lucky. But yeah, North Carolina, very good team. I think this might be the year they could win it all. Never know. But yeah, North Carolina at 2. And then obvious number 1 is UConn. They've just been dominating everybody in the Big East so far. And UConn could win it all again. We will see.
All right. Well, now I'm going to get into mine. Going to be much different than Reese's. I mean,
Fairleigh
basically
Dickinson.
all of my teams are different except for the number 1. So we'll go and get started. Number 10, I got Illinois.
Ooh.
Illinois. They've won 3 straight. Their last loss was at Northwestern, which I mean we've seen they're a really good team. We're able to survive Nebraska today. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared that they were gonna lose today because that would have had me keep them out of the top 10. But I mean, this is an Illinois team that, their losses, I mean, they lost to Purdue by 5 at Purdue, so they kept it close. They also beat Northwestern by 30 earlier this year. I know they just lost to them, but I mean, they beat them by 30, the first time they played them. And then they also beat FAU, which is a team that's been kind of up and down this year, but still a pretty good win. They beat them by 9. And then, 3 of their losses are to teams that I'm assuming are going to be in all of our top 10s, Marquette, Tennessee, and Purdue. So, I mean, watch out for this Illinois team led by none other than, let me try and get this guy's name right, Marcus Domask. Marcus Domask, as well as Terrence Shannon Jr., who is back by after that thing that went down. But I mean, he's back. He's not guilty, and so that's good for him. And yeah, good for Illinois. So Illinois at 10. Number 9, I'm gonna go Arizona. Arizona. I was originally not gonna include them in the top 10 because they were down by Stanford by 11 at halftime, but they came back and they won by 11. Which is what good teams do. They're not playing their best game in the first half. You find a way to scratch and claw your way to get the victory in the second half. So give me the Wildcats. I am kind of scared for their style of play because I was watching that game, and it seems like however well Caleb Love is doing, that's how well the team's going to do. And Caleb Love, I think, there's certain games where his shot is just off, and he just can't make a shot. I mean, but other times, he's able to load up the stat sheet. So give me Arizona at 9, but they're another team that I'm kind of worried about. Then number 8, I got Duke. Duke lost to North Carolina. The game that, was very heavily hyped for good reason, the best college basketball rivalry, Duke and UNC. Went into a ruckus UNC crowd, and honestly, they stayed within the game. But then again, they
behind.
Bruh.
But anyways, they went to a ruckus crowd and they stayed in the game the entire time, but weren't able to get the win. This Duke team, I mean, I just don't know because there's certain times. I mean, they lost to Pitt, at home. So
Also
this is a
lost to
team.
like
Georgia Tech,
somebody
Arkansas.
bad.
But this Duke team, there's no questioning this team's talent. I mean, Kyle Filipowski, he's going to be a lottery pick in this upcoming draft for sure. Tyrese Proctor, also really good. Jaron McCain, paints his nails, but hey, he can play ball. Give me Duke at 8. Number 7, I got Houston. Coming off that loss to Kansas at Kansas, I didn't think they had a chance going into that game. And the reason is I really just don't trust their personnel. I mean, there's certain times, like in that Kansas game, they never seemed to be able to, anytime they would score, Kansas had an answer. They never seemed like they were in it from the jump. And then you see them lose to TCU and Iowa State. Yeah, those are close games, but it just seemed like the other team was the better team. And so this Houston team, we'll see how good they are, in the coming weeks. They got a road test against Cincinnati, who seems like they could beat anybody or lose to anybody any given night. But give me Houston at 7, but I don't know. Number 6, I got Tennessee. Tennessee with that big win against Kentucky, going into Rupp Arena and beating the Wildcats. As you can see, the Wildcats are probably going to be in none of our top 10, and for good reason. They just don't have defense. But Tennessee taking advantage of that and getting the win. They got a pretty easy schedule coming up, and they could possibly, win. They could possibly win like 6 or 7 straight going into that game against Auburn at home. So give me Tennessee at 6. Number 5, I got North Carolina, UNC. Reese had them all the way up at 2. North Carolina, I just don't know because, let's not forget they lost to Georgia Tech, right before they played Duke. So, I mean, this North Carolina team is one that, there are another there's no teams besides, I'd say, UConn that I can just trust any given night. I feel like North Carolina is a team that, they got Clemson at home on Tuesday. That's not a, just 100%, they're going to win, especially not this season. But they got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. I mean, their next hardest game is going to be at Duke, and that's the final game of the year. So that should be a good one. But give me North Carolina at 5. Number 4, Reese had them all the way down at 10. I got them at 4. Marquette. Give me the Golden Eagles. They have just been a team they have just stayed steady. I know they haven't played any big-time opponents, but in a Big East that has been just wild and known for upsets this year, I mean, they've just kept it cruising. They have won 6 straight, and not a lot of them have been close. I mean, their closest one was a 1-point win against St. John's, but all the other ones were basically double-digit wins. So, and they got a tough road test against Butler this upcoming Saturday, and then they go to UConn. I'm telling y'all, February 17th, UConn, Marquette at UConn. that's going to be a huge game. That's going to be one of the best games of the year. That'll probably decide the Big East. But give me Marquette at number 4. Tyler Kolek, I hope he wins Player of the Year. Number 3, I got Kansas. I was kind of surprised that Reese had him as low as 5. I'm going to have him at number 3. They
Who?
really impressed me against Houston. I mean, this is a team that, if they lost that Houston game, they might be out of my top 10. I'm not going to lie. So, I mean, this Kansas team, though, they're one of the teams that they can blow you out by 40, but they could just lose to West Virginia the next day. I mean,
AP4 kind of meat rides them.
yeah, exactly. So, they stayed at number 8. I was honestly surprised after that Iowa State loss that they stayed at number 8, but they proved them wrong. They won 2 straight, blew out Oklahoma State by basically 40, and then also beat Houston in a game that they led since the tip. So, but they got a tough schedule coming up. I mean, they're going to have to continue proving it after, the road test against Kansas State tomorrow night. They go at home against Baylor, which is College Game Day and is one of our pick'em games, and then they go to Texas Tech, to Oklahoma, and then at home against Texas. So, I mean, this Kansas team, I think they're legit. They still have a little bit to prove. Now, these top 2 teams, I thought they were obvious, but apparently Reese doesn't see it that way. Put North Carolina at 2 instead of the Purdue Boilermakers. Zach Edey is the best player in college basketball. We all know this. He's 7'8", 300 pounds. This guy is just a monster. And I would hate to play against him, for anybody, But I think the biggest improvement for Purdue this year, the best thing, Braden Smith. Braden Smith has really come into his own as a true point guard. Number 4 in the country in assists per game with 7.5. And this Purdue team, they beat a really good Wisconsin team at Wisconsin's home court. So I think Purdue, they got a relatively easy schedule until their last 2 games, which are at Illinois and at home against Wisconsin. But I feel like Purdue is a lot to win the Big Ten, 100%. And then number 1, we know it should be all of our number 1s, I would think, is UConn. The UConn Huskies, they have just been consistent. Ever since that upset loss to Seton Hall, they have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row. They got a tough one at home against Butler, who's a team that's been knocking off teams recently. But I think this UConn team is legit. I think they'll be the number 1 overall seed going to the NCAA tourney. And I'm not going to lie, they might be my favorite to win it all this year. So that's my top 10. Taylor, who you got?
All right, so I brought the pot out. Let me cook. Number 10, I got someone that y'all didn't say that I think deserves the respect. At 20-3, the Indiana State Sycamores, Robbie Avila finished with 20 points
you're kidding.
and 11
There's
rebounds
no way you did
in
that.
Saturday's win over Drake. Indiana State has impressed me all season. At 20-3, have one of the best records in college basketball. But at number 9, you know who has a better record? Is the Grand Canyon Low.
Bro.
They deserve the
Kanye
respect.
West.
Number 1 in the Western Athletic Conference.
Buddy.
What
Just
about Rodway
knocked off
Valise?
UVU, Utah Valley. They barely lost to South Carolina early in the season, led by Tyon Grant Foster. Give me them at number 9. Number 8, I got the Dayton Flyers.
Oh, God.
Deron Holmes finished with 34 points and 7 rebounds against St. Bonaventure. They've impressed all season, gotten an 18-3 record, so give me them at number 8. Number 7, I got South Carolina. My team Huddle. I believe they jump up all the way up there. Colin Murray Boyles, had 16 points in that win over Georgia. 19-3. They deserve to be up there. Number 6, I got Tennessee. Just
Wait,
knocked
who'd you
off
have number 7? I'm sorry.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
But he's off the
Basketball.
person.
Number 6 is Tennessee. Zakai Sigler played amazing against Kentucky. They've been pressing all season. 16-5 now. And then number 5, I got Kansas. Kansas. Hunter Dickinson is really good. They're good. They just blew out Houston. So give me them at number 6. Or number 5, excuse me. Number 4, I got North Carolina. Armando Bacot had a huge game against Duke. Beat their biggest rivals, but like Max said, that Clemson game is no light matchup. 18-4, give me them. Number 3. Shoot, I messed up. Number 3, I got Marquette because I forgot to say them before, so I'm gonna put them at 3. Cam Jones has played amazing all season. They just beat Georgetown 17-5 on the year. Then number 2, I'm gonna put UConn at number 2. UConn's been amazing all season. They have shooters all over the court.
Taylor Swift's at number
Gonna
one.
defend their national title at the end of it. But they do play Baylor on Tuesday, so watch out for that sneaky matchup. And then at number 1, give me Zach Edey and the boys beating Wisconsin earlier today. They played amazing. The guard play was insane. And in that environment at Wisconsin, they rallied and they won. So number 1, give me Purdue. That's my top 10, the greatest top 10 on this segment.
Hey, Molly.
all I have to say is Indiana State over Duke is kind of wild. But anyways, now let's move on to Taylor's trash can. A trash can that I think we all expect. Taylor, go and take it away.
Straight from the garbage disposal, this is Taylor's trash can.
The entire idea and execution of the Pro Bowl 2024. So we had our top NFL players voted on by the fans and the community. It's a fun process to vote your favorite team's players into the game and to this quote-unquote prestigious game that these guys play in. And when you do that, you want to see them go play football, right? I want big hits, high-flying plays on a 100-yard field with the best players showcasing their true talents, full pads and full helmets representing their team. So what do we get instead? Skill games on Thursday consisting of dodgeball and a mini golf game. And then, how about Sunday? It must be awesome. Hugely advertised event, right? Wrong. It was a Madden head-to-head, move the chains, and a 7-on-7 flag football game played on a 50-yard field. I will admit having Eli Manning and DeMarcus Ware coach the NFC was a cool idea, with the AFC being Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis. But man, this thing was so boring to watch. Even I, who was studying for a quiz, got bored from looking at it for 5 minutes. What the heck is the NFL doing? We don't want to have sideline reporters and these commentators in the booth talking one time every 5 minutes during the game because they have no idea what's happened to the sport. We don't want one man blitzing the quarterback so that the quarterback just dots up the defense every single play. And for y'all who care, the final score ended up being into the NFC's favor, 64-59, after Jalen Johnson deflected that pass, if any of y'all cared. But just the idea of watching the highlight videos of Sean Taylor clobbering that punter on the fake punt, or watching some of the best defensive backs go up against physical matchups against the best receivers, such as Jalen Ramsey versus OBJ that we've seen, great matchups all around, has turned into a flag football competition. It is awful. The Pro Bowl is officially ruined for the NFL, and no one even cares to vote anymore because of these implications, giving us snubs every single year, and people that don't deserve it at all to make it, such as Buda Baker this year. And the fact that ticket prices are $200 to go to this flag football game, it's a joke. What a joke by the NFL. What are y'all's opinions on this garbage?
So I'll go and let you know. Neither me or Reese watched the Pro Bowl this year. That gives you any implications on where we're gonna stand. I totally agree with you. I mean, it's football at the end of the day. Not flag football. Shout out, Auburn High flag football team. Y'all are great, but NFL. No, we want to see guys hitting each other. That's why we love the sport. We want to see guys going up one-on-one matchups, like you said, OBJ, Jalen Ramsey, all those great matchups in the past. I mean, this year you would have had some great ones, possibly like, Justin Jefferson versus, I don't know, Sauce Gardner or something like that. But like I said, I didn't even watch it, so I honestly had no clue until you mentioned it earlier as being your trash can in the group chat. So, I mean, but let's be honest. I'm going to try and, as much as I don't agree with the side of, oh, this is better, this is great for, NFL and stuff. I totally don't agree with that side. But to try and play a little bit on the other hand, what was the Pro Bowl before they changed it to this? I mean, it was people in pads not even willing to hit each other. So, I mean, like for the last couple of years, I think it really shifted around 2018, 2019, when they started adding more stuff like in concussion protocols and stuff. And honestly, you can't really blame the players for not wanting to hit each other in those games because some of those players would have the Super Bowl, coming up in the next week, and
No,
they
they
didn't
get
want to get injured.
replaced.
What'd you say?
The people that play in the Super Bowl get replaced.
Yeah,
Oh,
they don't. They
well,
don't play. They don't play.
That's why Patrick Mahomes didn't end up going.
well then, yeah. So I
He did.
really, I
If he
really,
did, I wish Ray Lewis came out of retirement and hit him.
yeah, I really don't know what to say to try and defend this being a better option. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is players not trying to, if they have a big contract coming up in the offseason or something, try not to get injured, like tear ACL or something. But at the end of the day, it's football. Injuries are part of the game. Let's see, these freaks of nature, the best of the best, go up against each other head to head. That's what the fans want. And to make it $200 to go to this, flag football game. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This flag football game is outrageous. I mean, I don't know anybody personally that would go if it was $100, 150. So yeah, I don't care about this game anymore. Let's just go ahead and let it be Super Bowl weekend already, please.
Yeah, like honestly, the only real like obviously you have the NBA All Star Game, the NHL All Star Game, MLB All Star Game. The Pro Bowl. Honestly, like the MLB All Star Game is better than the Pro Bowl. Like they actually in the MLB All Star Game they actually try. In the Pro Bowl, like at this point they don't even try anymore. It's like the last time the last time they hit each other was I would say Cam Newton's rookie year. That like Cam Newton got absolutely
Blown out. Yeah.
yeah, and then like he that's when they stopped hitting each other, and I think that's when they didn't care about injuries. But then I think they were like, oh yeah, we need to start caring more about injuries. And then at this point, they just don't even like want to play the Pro Bowl anymore. It's just like let's do flag football. And like you said, Max, I think $200 to go to a Pro Bowl game for flag football is a little outrageous. It's like just make it free at this point.
Yeah, exactly. You pay me $200 and maybe I'll consider it. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, we're going to throw them away and move on. Change this back to the original Pro Bowl that we used to have. Please, NFL. This is a joke. The whole NFL is a joke right now. But we're going to move on to the segments, the records. You all know it. You all love it. It's Prize Picks, hosted by your boy, Mesman.
Not sponsored by the app Prize Picks, it's time for Max's Prize Picks.
like Taylor said, we're going to go ahead and get started with everybody's favorite segment, Prize Picks. And we actually got a very special guest picker, a guy that actually really, I can say, got me into this profession, what I want to do, which is, sports media. A guy that currently, works with SEC Network as a sophomore at the University of Auburn. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Patrick Bingham.
Hey,
Patrick,
everybody.
Welcome to the show. How's your Sunday been? I know it's kind of late, but yeah, how's your Sunday been? How have you been?
Very wet, very cold, but it's been a good day. Nothing too exciting today. The week in between the championship games and Super Bowl Sunday is always very boring. But
Yeah, we were just talking about that with the Pro Bowl, how bad it was. So
Yeah.
not as exciting as it used to be.
Yeah, but Patrick, you actually, or at least the last time me and you spoke, you had a podcast called the Patrick Party. Is that still going on?
Yeah, I just kind of wrapped it up for football season. I'll have some new things that I'll be a part of, in future football seasons. But yeah, I had a personal podcast and website called The Patrick Party, and I covered Auburn football and men's basketball for several years. So a lot of fun. Just wrap that up. Literally just wrap that up. So
Gotcha.
But yeah.
All right. Well, as y'all can see, fans, I mean, Patrick knows what he's talking about, and we'll see if he can beat out our last special guest. My guess is that he will, because right now our special guest standings, number one, it's actually tied for Grayson Stokes and Aiden Treadwell. They're both 2-4 on the special guest picks, and then Connor Davis, Boy, oh boy, he was 1-4-1. So 1-4-1, not the best record. And then
Why we don't
let's
pick
get to
soccer games.
yeah. We never again, never again. But now let's get to me, Taylor, and Reese's standings. For all time, it's actually going to stay the same because we all went 3-3 last time doing prize picks. And so Taylor's still in first at 63 and 50-1. I'm at second at 62 and 51-1. And then Reese is at 61 and 52-1 in third place. And so we're going to go and get started up here. And we're going to actually show some love to women's college basketball. I had the joy, and Taylor and Reese had the joy of going to a couple games last week. Taylor actually shadowed a sports writer at one of them, which was really cool. But we're going to get to a big game, which is when this episode gets released. It's going to be tonight at 6 p.m. On ESPN2. It's number 16 Louisville, who's 19-3 and 8-1 in ACC play. They're going on the road to face number 5 NC State, who's 19-2 and 7-2 in ACC play. Both these teams are currently on winning streaks. Louisville's won 3 straight. NC State has won 4 straight. This should be a great game. Louisville, both of these are very storied programs in the women's college basketball realm. I'm not going to lie, I haven't been able to catch either of these teams play. I think I've seen a couple of clips of NC State because they're doing really good, top 5. But I'm not going to lie, I got to go with, give me Louisville. Give me Louisville on the road to upset. 8-1 in ACC play. Actually, number 1 right now in the ACC. Give me the Louisville Cardinals to beat and upset the NC State Wolfpack on the road. Now, Patrick, who do you got in this game?
NC State's been pretty good at home this season per their website. I just Googled, not going to lie. They've won 14 straight at home, 7 straight ACC games. I'll take the Wolfpack.
All right. Reese, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Wolfpack. If they've won 14 straight at home, I don't think they're losing against Louisville.
Yeah, pretty good odds. All right, Taylor, who you got?
I'm gonna have to agree. I think NC State is gonna win this game. Like Patrick said, they've won 14 straight at home. Their last loss came at Miami, which Miami's a decent team. Just beat North Carolina. And this is actually a good game because if you look at the ACC standings, Louisville is actually in first at 8-1, and NC State's at 7-2. So this game will decide the ACC of NCAA women's basketball. But give me the Wolfpack at home; they're too strong.
Yeah, well, definitely going to be a must-watch, though, ESPN2 at 6 p.m. tonight. But now let's move to men's basketball, college men's basketball. And we're going to start off with College Game Day. What's going to be College Game Day this upcoming Saturday at 5 p.m. on ESPN. It's number 18 Baylor, who is coming into this week at 16-5. Obviously, they play Texas Tech at home on Tuesday, so they got to get through that. But then they go on the road to number 8 Kansas, who's 18-4 coming into this week. They got Kansas State on the road tonight, actually. We'll see if they get through that. But this game, Kansas is a 67.9% favorite according to ESPN Analytics. They're coming off that big win against Houston, which we've talked about a lot this game. But Baylor is coming off a big win against a team that beat Kansas, Iowa State. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a good one. Jacoby Walter, I'm not going to lie. If I'm an NBA team, I want him on my team next year. I'm not going to lie. He's one of the most just overall well-rounded, not only freshmen, but players in college basketball right now. This Baylor offense, I mean, they are possibly the best in the country. 84 points a game. But give me Kansas at home. I think, Lawrence Fieldhouse is one of the, if not the best home crowd. Obviously you can argue the jungle for Auburn, North Carolina, Duke as well, but give me Kansas at home. I think Kevin McCullough, Hunter Dickinson, DeJuan Harris, I mean, that team's just full of stars. Give me the Jayhawks at home. The reason I have them at number 3 in my top 10. Patrick, who do you think is going to win between the Bears and the Jayhawks?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas is coming off that big win at home. I, admittedly turned the TV on expecting a fun second half, and I was like, oh, it's like that. But, I mean, Kansas is a title contending team. Of course, they contend for the Big 12 every season. I'll probably have to take them at home. I mean, it just feels like more than ever this college basketball season, having home court advantage is such a big deal, and we've seen that kind of throughout the sport. So I'll take the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jayhawks too. I think like Patrick said, I think home court advantage has really turned out well this season, especially like Auburn and then um, Duke teams like that. They've had the fair share of wins at home, so I'm gonna take Kansas at home.
Taylor, you got.
Yeah, I think this is really the offense of Baylor going against the defense of Kansas, two of the top programs in the country. But I'm going to have to agree with y'all. Kansas likes to pass the rock around more. They get more assists per game. And I think that's just going to be too much for the Baylor defense. Baylor's defense is actually not very good, allowing 70 points a game. So give me the Kansas Jayhawks getting another big win and another ranked win to move on to this would be 20-4 if they do beat Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we've talked about it throughout the podcast a lot in Weekend Rundown. I mean, college basketball has been mayhem this year, but one thing that's been consistent is teams are just not able to win on the road. We'll see if Baylor can break out of that slump, but this is going to be at 5 p.m. on Saturday on ESPN, also College Game Day, so Lawrence Fieldhouse is going to be rocking. But now we're going to move to another college basketball game, and actually on the last episode of Tigers Den, this is a game that we previewed, except it was the other way around where it was Auburn at Alabama. This time it's Alabama at Auburn. Auburn's seeking revenge after losing to Alabama a couple of weeks ago. Alabama coming in ranked 24th in the nation, 16-6, 8-1 in SEC play. Right now, the solo number one team in SEC versus Auburn, who's number 16, 18-4. Really bounced back this recent week after losing to Alabama and Mississippi State in consecutive road games. They're 7-2 in the SEC, and this game could possibly be one of those games that decides the SEC at the end of the year. Right now, ESPN has Auburn as a 60% chance to win, according to ESPN Analytics. This game, this Bama team, you talk about Baylor's offense being really good. This Bama's team's offense is on fire. I mean, they have scored 99, 85, and 109 in their last three games. I mean, they're averaging 90 points a game, basically, on here, what I'm looking at on ESPN. So, but, I picked Auburn last time. I was wrong. Alabama won. But, the Jungle, like we said, you talk about home court advantages. I mean, I can't remember the last time Auburn lost at home. It hasn't been this year, probably sometime last year. But give me the Tigers at home. Getting revenge against your rival is something that a lot of teams want to do, and it's hard to achieve. It's hard to beat a team that beat you the first time around. But give me the Tigers to bounce back and beat the Tide at home. Go Tigers, War Eagle. Patrick, who you got?
Yeah, I was at the game in Tuscaloosa, and I mean it was kind of a recipe for disaster for Auburn. You never want to get down that big on the road, and Alabama's bread and butter is their long range game, and they were just knocking down threes. Mark Sears, I mean against Auburn, but I mean even most recently against Georgia and other teams has just been such a dominant force. I mean could be SEC Player of the Year, kind of that caliber season. So he's going to be a big key in this one. I mean, Alabama's what I heard going into that whole game though was how Auburn would be able to expose Alabama's weakness on defense, and Alabama actually played really well at home on defense. Granted, it helps when Auburn missed a bunch of shots, especially from deep. I think Auburn will be a lot more comfortable at home. They just seem to have that swagger when they're playing at home, and I think that win at Ole Miss and just being able to kind of turn that tide, no pun intended. I mean, like in Tuscaloosa when they were able to take the lead back and they were able to actually win a game like that in Oxford this past Saturday. So I think they've got their mojo back. Aiden Holloway started to kind of get out of his slump a little bit, so I'll take the Tigers at home by 10 or more.
Yeah, I say with the Tigers being at home, and Neville Arena is obviously going to be sold out again, and I say that the Tigers just absolutely dominate Alabama. I'm going to take Auburn by about, I'm going to say honestly 15. 10 to 15, probably, I say.
Oh. Taylor, you got.
I think this is another matchup that's going to be the dominant Alabama offense versus the dominant Auburn defense. Auburn's defense is only allowing 65.9 points per game. And like Patrick said, Alabama played good defense, but we also couldn't make a 3-point shot. But now I think with Aiden Holloway coming off the bench, I think this rotation just has more chemistry, is just better with Trey Donaldson starting instead. And Janai Broom's gonna have a game just like he did against Alabama the last time where he put up 20 plus. So give me the Auburn Tigers winning at home. Hopefully, I'm praying that I can get a last second ticket to this one. But the Jungle's going to be there. Auburn's going to win, and they're going to move to 19-4.
Yeah, right now, I mean, that's going to be any ticket it seems is going to be high priced for this game. You know, the lowest ticket according to Vivid Seats is $195. That game is at 6 p.m. on Wednesday on ESPN2. I for sure will be watching, whether it's from the stands or from my couch. But now let's move to the NBA, and there's two games that look pretty promising to be really good games this upcoming week, and we're going to start off with a game that when this episode gets released tomorrow, or technically Monday at 3:30 p.m. This game is going to be taking place tonight at 9 p.m. on TNT. It's the Bucks at the Suns. Now, the Bucks, they've kind of struggled recently. They've lost 3 of their last 5, and so have the Suns. They've also lost 3 of their last 5. So wow. But the Bucks are coming in this game at 33-16, although they're only 12-11 when playing on the road. So we'll see how that plays out. The Suns are 29-21 overall, but they're also only 14-11 at home. So both teams playing with not their strength, but we'll see what happens in this game. The Suns have a 69.6% chance to win this game according to ESPN. Some key injuries to watch for this game. Brooke Lopez and Chris Middleton are both listed as out. That's a huge loss if that's true. And then the Suns have no injured players coming to this game. With that on the table, I got to go with the Suns here, honestly. I mean, these two teams are teams that are filled with star power. I mean, the Bucks, they got the Greek Freak and Dame Time. But the Suns, they got KD, they got Devin Booker, they got Bradley Beal. I mean, the stars are going to be out in this game. But give me the Suns. I mean, no injuries. That's huge, especially when you're playing at home. So give me the Suns. I think this game will be high scoring. I totally forgot to do my score predictions for the last couple. So give me the Suns at home. Like I said, high scoring. I'm going to say 127 to 115 over the Bucks. Patrick, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks, they fired their coach. There's just a lot of external drama around the team. And, I mean, even tonight, they blew a pretty big lead in the fourth quarter and lost by 15. So it's just one of those things where, there's so much else going on. It's hard to really... I mean, there is a lot of talent, and they certainly could win, but I'll take the Suns.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks here. The Bucks, even though they did fire their coach, I still think they're a pretty good team with Giannis and Dame out there, and I think the Bucks will win pretty big.
Taylor, who you got?
I'm gonna have to agree with Max and Patrick here with the departing of the Bucks head coach and Doc Rivers being hired, which I will say Doc Rivers was named the All-Star coach for their division, which really surprised me and kind of seemed a little bit stupid to me. But this is a big game for that division. I'm going to have to go with the Suns, though. Kevin Durant is going to absolutely ball out. Devin Booker, I think with those 2 injuries, everything going on around the Bucks, the Suns are going to get this win. And I'm a little bit biased because hopefully in a year I'll get to watch Suns games in person. So give me the Phoenix Suns winning this one.
Yeah, that game is at 9 p.m. tonight when y'all are listening to this on TNT. Should be a good one. And now another game that is on Wednesday and I'll definitely be watching is the Pelicans at the Clippers. The Pelicans, obviously they have a game, tomorrow, actually, or technically tonight when y'all are listening to this, against the Raptors at home. I think they should handle business there, but we'll see. But coming into this week, the Pelicans are 28-21 and 14-11 when playing on the road, while the Clippers are 33-15 and 19-4 at home. So home court advantage definitely favors the Clippers in this game. The Clippers are 73.2% chance to win. according to ESPN. Some injuries for the Pelicans. Larry Nance Jr., Zion, and Herb Jones, they're not listed as out, but they're listed as questionable. So I know it's 3
Zion's
days
probably
out.
eight his way onto the questionable list.
Yeah, he got diagnosed with diabetes. I don't know how much longer he'll be able to play
Bro,
for.
crazy.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, we're 3 days away from the game right now as we speak. So I mean, those injury stats could definitely change. But the Pelicans, I mean, they've been kind of slipping recently. I mean, 1-2 straight, but they lost 3 straight before that. While the Clippers, I mean, they've been clicking on all cylinders here. And y'all are gonna think that I'm gonna pick the Pelicans because it's very well documented that I'm a huge Pelicans fan, but I gotta go with the Clippers here. I gotta go with them.
Thank the Lord.
Zion's a huge Pelicans player.
The Clippers are actually, I'm gonna just admit it, they're my favorite to win the finals right here. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you pair Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden on one team. I mean, yes, none of them are really in their prime. Well, Kawhi, I feel like he's doing really well right now, but Paul George and James Harden, they're still playing at a high level, and they're all healthy.
And Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and Russell Westbrook coming off the bench too. I mean, that is huge. Having an experienced guy like that. The Clippers, the most important thing is that they stay healthy. That's been their problem when it comes to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But give me the Clippers in this game to win at home. And I hate to say it, but I think they win big. I think it's like 128-101. So, Patrick, who you got?
Yeah, I'll go with the Clippers as well. They've won 3 straight. They're 19-4 at home this season. Just a game back from first place in the Western Conference. And especially with all those injuries with the Pelicans, it's just hard to pick against the Clippers.
I'm gonna go with the Clippers too. I think that the Pelicans, like Patrick said, they've had a lot of injuries this season, so I think the Clippers win pretty big.
Yeah, I think with the 3 people being questionable for the Pelicans, especially Zion, their leading scorer in points per game, I think that the Clippers, this is the year, the super team that they've been trying to build with 4 past their prime superstars. I think this is the year that they could win the whole thing. And they're with Zubac at center and everything going on around, it just makes sense for them to win this game. The rotation is super good with Westbrook coming off the bench. Give me the Clippers big, and I think the only reason we're picking this game is because Max is a Pelicans fan.
I mean, if that were the case, I would definitely pick the Pelicans to win. But
Yeah, it's a very big game.
it is a big game because I'll say just real quick tangent right here. The way the West is shaping up, I mean, it feels like the top 4 spots are a lock. I mean, the 4th place team is basically 6 games ahead of the 5th place team. But the Pelicans, this is a huge game for them because if they win this game, they could possibly climb up back into that 5th spot. Right now, they're sitting at 7. But anyways, now we're going to move into the game. The final pick of today, and surprise, it's going to be, Valparaiso versus Grand Canyon. Just kidding. It's going to be 49ers versus the Chiefs, the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's obvious. It's the biggest
Really
game
wanted
of the year.
Valparaiso versus Grand Canyon, but
So, yeah, I mean, sorry. Hate to break it to y'all. Grand Canyon's going to probably win that, like they do every game. But, 49ers, Chiefs, Super Bowl. Usually the biggest game every year, but maybe not this year. As Taylor said earlier, he thinks it might be one of the least viewed of all time. We'll see. But coming to this game, we already mentioned earlier the 49ers are 1.5-point favorites. They're also favored, according to ESPN Analytics, 59.4%. Also, the Chiefs have some injuries coming into this game. Jarrett McKinnon and Sky Moore are on IR. Joe Thuney is questionable. And then also Charles Omenihu towards ACL against the Ravens, so he is out 100%. This game being played in Allegiant Stadium, the new Raider Stadium. Very nice stadium. But, yeah, I mean, this game, it all comes down to this. A lot of people wanted this to be Ravens-Lions or at least Lions-Chiefs, but we get the 49ers versus the Chiefs. And, I really want the 49ers to win. And they always say never bet against Mahomes. I mean, especially in the Super Bowl. I mean, and Taylor Swift, the refs, it seems, just conspiracy, but, seems pretty obvious. They're on the Chiefs side.
not conspiracy.
But I'm gonna go with the 49ers. Bang, bang, 49er gang. Brock Purdy is going to come in. This is already a legacy game for him in his second year in the NFL. I mean, everybody's saying, oh, he's a game manager this, oh, he's a game manager that. They already extended his contract. So his organization believes in him, and more importantly, he believes in himself. Give me the 49ers to beat the Chiefs in a shootout, 34-31 in the Super Bowl, off of a game-winning touchdown on the final drive by none other than Brock Purdy to Brandon Ayuk. And now, Patrick, who do you got winning the biggest game of the year?
Well, I don't know if y'all saw this. I might have been recording any part of this, but there's a girlfriend for a certain Chiefs player who just announced she has a new album coming out. So more drama around this game for every other reason but football. I'll say this: the Chiefs all season have had the whole they can't catch, they don't have receivers, but they found ways all season long to make it work, and they've found themselves in another Super Bowl. And what the 49ers have done is great, but it's hard for me to pick against a quarterback named Patrick, so I'll go with the Chiefs.
Reese, you got?
Honestly, I want to pick the 49ers, but I just know it's all scripted. So the Chiefs
Reese has
win it.
given up.
I've given up since the start of the playoffs.
All
already
I'm
knew
going to
this was
say
gonna happen.
for my pick is I can't wait for MLB season to come because
Real.
Yep,
tired
at least
of
that's
the
not
NFL.
scripted.
I mean, it kind of is scripted with the Dodgers, but that's for a
I don't
different
care.
day.
Dodgers really didn't win a
The
championship.
fact
It's just
that,
luck.
like Mac said earlier, the 49ers opened up as a 4-point favorite. Now it's only 1.5-point favorite. The bettors know not to bet against Patrick Mahomes, and I want to pick the 49ers, but we're going to be watching this one somewhere all together, and we're going to see the Chiefs hoist up I believe this is their third Super Bowl in the past 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah.
give me the Chiefs winning this one. Patrick Mahomes gets his third ring, and Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift on the field, breaks the internet completely, and the NFL gets what they want.
Yeah. Please no. I mean, once again, get some money possibly. I mean, plus 250 on FanDuel. Does Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift? But that game is on 5:30 p.m. On Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday on CBS. But, that's going to do it. Thank you, Patrick, not Patrick Mahomes. Thank you, Patrick Bingham, for coming on to the show. Great to have you. Thank you to all the fans for, listening week in and week out. Once again, follow us on our new Instagram account at the Tigers Den official. No caps, no spaces. Thank y'all. Thank you, Patrick, for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of the Tigers Den podcast. New episodes dropping every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central. Also be sure to check out our other podcast, Play Callers, where we interview a coach from Auburn High School football. Be sure to check out those episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central on all platforms.